But anyways, so there were problems since October, and it was just building up and building up. And then the past couple weeks, things were just building up and building up. And then, well, boom, everything it just bursted open. I tested for COVID on that Monday, and it was negative. And then later that afternoon is when the pain from my knees to my hips started. And it just kept getting worse throughout the day. I went ahead and made an urgent care visit, went to CVS. They didn't take my insurance. I had already scheduled the appointment. So I went to another urgent care at the next to the hospital. And they told them my symptoms, and I told them that I was suspecting blood clots, and they were like, you gotta go to the ER with that. They don't have ultrasound machines to be able to look and things like that. All they could do is a chest x-ray, which they didn't do. But they went ahead and tested me for COVID. Which I wouldn't get back in until 28 to 48 hours later. That morning, they tested me for COVID. They tested me for strep, which came back negative. They tested me for the flu. It came back negative. They even tested me for mono, and she had an idea. She's like, mono can cause these certain types of symptoms too. And I was like, yeah, go right ahead, do your thing. Came back negative. And you guys loved that story. The little conversation pieces, you guys have been loving those. Thanks for letting me know. I love doing them. I feel like that's an easier way sometimes to really just tell you guys things about my encounters and what goes on and things like that, and you guys love it, so I am glad. Thank you for letting me know. But yeah, so the one nurse says, what's long COVID? And at first she said lung COVID, but yeah, so anyways, it was negative, and she said, I'm going to write you a note with, all your symptoms, everything you've told me, because she took an extensive history. She learned my story, things like that. And she's like, give this to the ER. And there's only like 2 people there right now, so you need to go. And I'm thinking in my head, I can't go right now because my daughter's going to be getting out of school soon. I don't have a babysitter. Their regular babysitter, their grandmother on my husband's side, she wasn't feeling too well. So yeah, she was sick with something. I didn't want to put that on her. So my husband was stuck with the kids. And again, I'm in the ER alone, but he walked in with me and the kids. We were thinking they were going to stay, but then I was like, they probably have COVID restrictions in place. They're not going to allow them to stay, which turns out they said they don't recommend it. RSV going around, COVID going around, they don't recommend these kids stay, and you may have a lengthy stay, because of your issues. I was like, yeah, okay. I understand that. They were just checking me and make sure I got checked in and stuff. They ended up leaving. So I was there for about 12 hours, and it wasn't a nice visit at all. I told them I was suspecting blood clots, told them all my symptoms, my history, went through all of that. They immediately did blood tests. And there's this blood test that they do in the ER that will automatically make you have a 2-hour stay automatically, because it's routine and they do it for all patients to test their hearts and stuff. Once you do the first test, it's like 2 hours later and they'll do the other test or whatever. So yeah, you're automatically there for 2 hours if you go to the ER at this hospital. So I told my husband, okay, I'm automatically going to be here till like 5:15. And I went like early afternoon as soon as she got out of school. And the wait wasn't that bad. And even one of the nurses said, you came on a good day, because usually I go to the other ER where I don't have to wait as long. But the care there, it's, I've had train wreck visits, and I've had successful visits. So it's a toss-up. You never know what you're going to get with them. And for extremely serious symptoms, I've learned to just go to the regular hospital. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. So then, after the blood tests, and stuff, they went ahead and did CT scans. They did CT scans of my neck. They did CT scans of my chest. And then they did ultrasounds for my legs. wanted them to do an ultrasound of my neck too, but they never did. And even the tech was telling me, she's like, oh, I can't do a scan on your neck unless I have an order. I'm like, yeah, I know that. They already did a CT scan on my neck and stuff. And she was even unsure of what the gold standard would be for, you know, certain parts of your neck. Because usually the gold standard, you know, to look for blood clots, especially in the neck, is the ultrasound. And she's like, so, you know, honestly, that might be the gold standard, is doing the CT, since, I mean, we could see the side of the neck and the jugular veins, but she didn't say anything about looking at the external jugular vein and what would be the best way to do so. So she was unsure of that. So I don't even know if the CT scan was the gold standard for looking at this vein in this part of my neck. I have not worked out yet, so I don't know if the throbbing is still there. But if it is, something's going on. I mean, it's not happening for no reason. That's one thing that gets me about all these symptoms. That just drives me insane.